The galaxy believed humanity was dead. History books called humans a failed civilization. Alien children laughed whenever Earth was mentioned. Humans? They destroyed themselves. They never even became a real spacefaring species. Eventually, no one searched for Earth anymore. No one expected humanity to return. Then, everything changed. An Alliance exploration fleet was mapping an unexplored nebula near the edge of the galaxy when every system aboard their flagship suddenly shut down. Navigation failed. Weapons powered off. Even the emergency lights flickered. The captain shouted, "Report." An officer stared at the scanner with trembling hands. "Captain, something enormous is ahead of us." The screen was completely blank. No heat signature. No engine trail. Nothing. It was as if space itself had become invisible. Then, out of the blue mist, 2 glowing blue lights appeared, followed by 4, then hundreds. A gigantic black silhouette slowly emerged from a nebula. No one on the bridge spoke. It wasn't just another spaceship. It was larger than an entire city. Its black armor reflected no starlight. Its engines burned with an unfamiliar blue energy, and across its side, ancient white letters slowly became visible. HWS Aegis. The captain whispered, "Human? That's impossible." Scientists immediately searched every galactic archive. The answer came back instantly. No record found. One frightened officer asked, "Should we fire?" The captain swallowed nervously. At that thing, before anyone could decide, the unknown ship slowly turned toward them. Every alarm aboard the Alliance fleet screamed at once. The tactical AI announced, "Warning, unknown weapon systems detected." A second later, another message appeared. "Power level, unknown." Then the AI froze. For nearly 10 seconds, nothing happened. When it finally spoke again, its voice had changed. Almost fearful. Estimated combat capability, higher than combined military strength of the Galactic Alliance. Silence. The Alliance possessed over 12 million warships. Yet one ship, one single human warship, had just been identified as more powerful than all of them combined. The captain slowly stood from his chair. His hands were shaking. "Open a communication channel." The screen flickered. Static filled the bridge. Then a human appeared, gray-haired, calm, wearing a black military uniform unlike anything the Alliance had ever seen. He smiled politely, as if meeting old friends. Then he spoke 7 words that froze every living soul on the bridge. "Greetings. We are humanity. This is our first contact." The bridge fell silent. One young officer whispered, "If that's their greeting, what happens if they declare war?" The human admiral's smile slowly disappeared. He looked past the Alliance fleet toward the darkness beyond the galaxy. Then he quietly said, "We didn't come here to fight you." A pause. "We came here to save you." Before anyone could ask what he meant, every star at the edge of the galaxy went dark, and in that moment, the Alliance realized something far more terrifying than humanity was already coming. Rocket. The galaxy had known peace for over 500 years, not because there were no wars, but because there was no enemy left powerful enough to challenge the Galactic Alliance. Humanity had vanished centuries ago. History books claimed Earth destroyed itself in a civil war. Others believed humans had gone extinct after failing their first attempt at interstellar travel. Eventually, the word human became nothing more than an old myth. Alien children laughed whenever teachers mentioned Earth. Primitive, weak, forgotten. Then, everything changed. Near the unexplored edge of the Andromeda Rift, an Alliance exploration fleet received a strange distress signal. It wasn't in any known alien language. It repeated the same sentence over and over. "Human Warship Aegis, requesting first contact." The bridge fell silent. The captain frowned. "Translate that again." The AI answered. Translation confirmed. "Human Warship Aegis, requesting first contact." Impossible. There were no human ships. Not anymore. Still, curiosity defeated fear. The exploration fleet followed the signal into a massive cosmic nebula where scanners barely worked. The stars disappeared behind thick blue clouds. Visibility dropped to almost zero. Then, every sensor suddenly failed. Engines slowed by themselves. Communications went silent. One nervous officer whispered, "Captain, I'm detecting something ahead." The captain looked through the main viewport. At first, there was only darkness. Then, a single blue light appeared, followed by another, then hundreds. The nebula slowly opened, and everyone froze. A colossal black warship drifted silently through the mist. It wasn't damaged. It wasn't abandoned. It looked brand new. Its armor reflected no light. Its engines glowed with an impossible blue energy no one had ever seen. The ship was unlike anything in the Galactic Alliance database. It was nearly the size of a moon. Across its hull, ancient white letters became visible. HWS Aegis. No one spoke. The Alliance captain quietly asked, "Are its weapons online?" The AI scanned again, then replied in a trembling synthetic voice, "Warning, weapons detected." A pause. Estimated firepower exceeds the combined strength of the entire Alliance fleet. The bridge went completely silent. Before anyone could react, the massive human warship slowly rotated toward them. A communication channel opened automatically. The screen flickered. A human officer appeared, gray-haired, calm, wearing an unfamiliar black uniform. He looked directly into the camera, smiled politely, and said the words that would change galactic history forever. "Greetings. We are humanity. We believe..." This is our first official meeting. The entire galaxy was about to discover that humanity had never disappeared. They had simply been waiting. The Alliance fleet remained completely still. No captain dared to give an order. The enormous black warship floated silently in front of them, as if it had all the time in the universe. Its engines emitted no heat. Its weapons produced no detectable energy signature. According to every scientific law the Alliance understood, the ship shouldn't even exist. The Alliance captain finally found his voice. "Open a secure communication channel." The image of the human officer became clearer. He looked to be in his 60s. Silver hair, sharp blue eyes, a calm expression that carried centuries of experience. "My name is Admiral Marcus Hale, commanding officer of human warship Aegis." The captain replied cautiously, "I am Captain Varek of the Galactic Alliance. We believed humanity became extinct 500 years ago." Admiral Hale smiled. "So, did we?" For a while, the bridge fell silent. "What does that mean?" Hale slowly walked toward a large observation window behind him. Beyond the glass, the Alliance crew could see something impossible. Not one ship, not 10 ships. Thousands of gigantic human warships were hidden inside the nebula. Each one was as massive as the Aegis. Each one completely silent. The Alliance captain felt his heart race. He whispered, "How many ships are there?" Hale answered without hesitation, "Enough." Back aboard the Alliance flagship, every military AI began calculating battle outcomes. Within seconds, every screen turned red. Simulation complete. Alliance survival probability, 0.00003%. No one had ever seen the prediction AI display such a number. One frightened officer looked toward the captain. "If they attack, we lose everything." Suddenly, the human admiral spoke again. "You seem nervous." Captain Varek answered honestly, "Your fleet could destroy every civilization we know." Hale nodded. "Yes, we could." Another long silence filled the channel. Then Hale added, "But that isn't why we came." Without warning, every alarm inside the Alliance fleet activated. Long-range sensors detected thousands of unknown objects entering the galaxy. At first, the officers assumed they were more human ships. They were wrong. The tactical display showed entire stars disappearing. One by one, 37 frontier colonies suddenly went silent. No distress calls, no explosions, only darkness. The Alliance captain stared at the sensor readings. "What is happening?" The human admiral's calm expression disappeared. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. He quietly said, "They're here. earlier than we expected. Before anyone could ask who he meant, a massive black rift tore open at the edge of the galaxy. Something enormous began emerging from the void. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a planet. It was far larger. Behind it, thousands more shadows followed. The Alliance fleet stood frozen. But every human warship inside the nebula suddenly activated its engines. The blue glow illuminated the darkness like a rising ocean of stars. Admiral Hale looked directly at Captain Varek. 500 years ago, humanity didn't disappear. He paused. We left to prepare for this day. The transmission ended. Across the nebula, thousands of human warships turned toward the incoming darkness. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The human fleet accelerated toward the expanding Black Rift. Thousands of Alliance warships followed, not because they believed they could win, because they had nowhere else to go. Captain Varek stood on the bridge in complete silence. His eyes remained fixed on the tactical display. The unknown objects were multiplying. Every second, more emerged from the darkness. The Alliance AI suddenly announced, "Warning, unknown fleet exceeds sensor limits." No one spoke. No one even breathed. The enormous Black Rift continued growing. Then, the first enemy finally appeared. It wasn't made of metal. It wasn't built by engineers. It looked alive. A planet-sized black organism drifted into the galaxy. Its surface constantly moved like living skin. Gigantic crimson veins pulsed across its armor. Where engines should have been, there were beating hearts. One Alliance officer whispered, "What is that?" Admiral Marcus Hale answered calmly, "We call them the Voidborn." 500 years earlier, human explorers had traveled beyond the edge of the known universe. There, they discovered thousands of dead galaxies. Entire civilizations had vanished, not destroyed, not conquered, simply erased. Only abandoned worlds remained. Every planet carried the same warning, written in hundreds of alien languages. Do not let them find your galaxy. Humanity ignored the warning. Days later, their exploration fleet detected movement. Then they saw them. Millions, no, billions of living warships stretching across intergalactic space. That day, humanity understood one terrifying truth. The galaxy had never been alone. It had simply not been noticed. Back in the present, the first Voidborn warship attacked. A crimson beam crossed space. One Alliance battleship, over 12 kilometers long, vanished instantly. No explosion, no debris. It simply ceased to exist. The entire Alliance fleet panicked. Retreat. Fall back. We can't fight this. Ships scattered in every direction. But the Voidborn didn't chase them. They ignored every alien vessel. Instead, every one of them moved toward the human fleet. Captain Varek looked at Admiral Hale. "They're targeting only you." Hale nodded. "Yes, because humanity is the only civilization that has ever defeated them." Silence filled every bridge. The Alliance officers stared in disbelief. "You fought these things before?" Hale slowly turned toward the endless black armada. "Not once. For 500 years." Suddenly, the Aegis began to transform. Its outer armor shifted. Gigantic energy cannons emerged from beneath its black hull. Blue light flooded the battlefield. Thousands of hidden human warships activated at exactly the same moment. The nebula itself glowed like a second galaxy. Every human captain received the same order. Operation Iron Horizon. Begin. Admiral Hale looked one final time at Captain Varek, then calmly said, "Today, the galaxy learns why humanity disappeared." The transmission ended. A second later, the first human cannon fired. A beam of brilliant blue energy crossed millions of kilometers and split a planet-sized Voidborn warship clean in half. For the first time, the seemingly unstoppable enemy stopped advancing. And for the first time in galactic history, the Alliance witnessed the true power of a human warship. The blue beam from Aegis cut through the Voidborn flagship like it was made of glass. For a brief moment, the battlefield became completely silent. Then, the impossible happened. The shattered planet-sized creature began repairing itself. Its broken pieces floated back together. Within seconds, it was whole again. Captain Varric stared in horror. It regenerated. Admiral Marcus Hale nodded. They always do. That's why every civilization before us failed. The Alliance officers looked at each other. If they can't die, then how can it be stopped? Hale remained silent. For several seconds, he simply watched the endless enemy fleet. Finally, he spoke. They can't be destroyed. They have to be erased. The Voidborn answered with overwhelming force. Thousands of crimson beams erupted across space. Entire asteroid fields disappeared. Stars trembled under the assault. More than 400 Alliance warships vanished in less than a minute. Panic spread through every fleet. This is hopeless. We're losing. We can't stop them. But the human fleet never broke formation. Every ship moved with perfect precision. Every attack seemed planned centuries in advance. The Alliance AI made another prediction. Human fleet coordination, 100% reaction time, 0.0002 seconds. The AI displayed one final message. No biological civilization should be capable of this. Inside the bridge of Aegis, Admiral Hale activated a classified hologram. Captain Varric watched as thousands of hidden human stations appeared across the galaxy. Gigantic ring-shaped structures surrounded dead stars, each one larger than a planet. What are those? Hale answered quietly. Stellar anchors. For 500 years, humanity wasn't building more weapons. We were building one. The hologram zoomed out. Every stellar anchor connected through brilliant blue energy lines. Together, they formed a massive network spanning the entire galaxy. Varric whispered, "My stars! You turned the galaxy itself into a weapon." Hale looked at him. We had no other choice. Suddenly, every human warship transmitted power toward the anchors. The stars began glowing brighter than ever before. Blue rivers of energy crossed the galaxy. The Voidborn finally reacted. For the first time, their formation broke. They accelerated toward the anchors. Admiral Hale smiled. They finally understand. They're too late. A deep voice echoed across every human ship. Project Aegis Galactic Defense Network online. The entire Milky Way lit up. Every star became part of a single defensive system. The Voidborn charged desperately toward the human fleet. Captain Varric looked out the viewport. He had never imagined such power could exist. He turned toward Admiral Hale. If this fails... Hale finished the sentence. There won't be another galaxy left to save. He slowly stood from his command chair, then gave humanity's final order. Activate Project Aegis. Across billions of kilometers, every human warship ignited with brilliant blue light. The galaxy itself had become humanity's greatest weapon. The final battle had begun. The entire Milky Way glowed with blue light. For the first time in history, every star became part of Project Aegis. The Voidborn finally understood. Humanity had never been hiding. They had been transforming an entire galaxy into a single defensive weapon. Across millions of kilometers, the stellar anchors synchronized. One by one, blue beams connected every star system. The Milky Way itself became a giant energy network. Captain Varric watched the tactical display in disbelief. The AI announced, Galactic Defense Grid, 100% online. The numbers were beyond imagination. The energy flowing through the network exceeded the output of billions of suns. The Voidborn launched one final assault. Planet-sized living warships rushed toward Earth, toward Mars, toward every populated world. The galaxy braced for extinction. Admiral Marcus Hale stood alone on the bridge of Aegis. His officers looked at him. Sir, the weapon is ready. But someone has to remain connected to the core. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone understood. Whoever activated the network would never return. Hale smiled. We've been preparing for this moment for 500 years. He removed his command insignia and handed it to his first officer. Take care of humanity. The officer's voice trembled. There has to be another way. Hale looked out at the stars. There never was. A communication channel opened across the entire galaxy. Every alien, every human, every child, every soldier stopped to listen. Admiral Hale's face appeared on billions of screens. He spoke with complete calm. 500 years ago, the galaxy believed humanity was extinct. The truth is, we chose to disappear so that one day everyone else could live. Even the Galactic Council stood in silence. No one spoke. No one moved. The Void-born commander roared across space. Billions of living ships charged together. The distance closed rapidly. 30 seconds. 20. 10. Captain Varric shouted, "They're too close." Hale placed his hand on the activation console, then whispered, "For Earth, for the galaxy." He pressed the final command. Every stellar anchor fired at the same instant. Thousands of blue beams crossed the galaxy. Instead of striking the enemy, they surrounded them. The Void-born fleet became trapped inside an enormous sphere of collapsing space-time. The living ships struggled to escape. It was impossible. The sphere began shrinking, slower, smaller, until an entire enemy armada larger than star systems collapsed into a single point of blue light. Then it vanished. No explosion, no debris, only silence. The Void-born were gone. Forever. The brilliant blue light faded. The Aegis drifted quietly through space. Its engines were dark. Its bridge was empty. Admiral Marcus Hale had disappeared with the weapon. Captain Varric lowered his head. "We came searching for an ancient legend." He looked toward the silent human flagship and found the Guardians of the Galaxy. 1 year later, the Galactic Alliance officially changed its history books. The chapter titled "The Extinction of Humanity" was permanently removed. In its place, a new title appeared: "The Civilization That Saved the Galaxy." Above Earth, the restored flagship Aegis became a permanent memorial. Alien ships traveled from every corner of the galaxy just to see it. Young cadets would stand beneath its enormous hull and ask, "Is it true one human warship saved us all?" Their instructors would smile. "No, it wasn't the warship. It was the people who built it." As the camera pulled away from the Milky Way, a faint blue beacon flashed from the distant void. A familiar human voice echoed one last time. "This is human warship Aegis.